Hey, welcome back to the DVD Bunker. I'm Brian. It's Matt.
How's it going, Brian?
It's going pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, buddy.
So, have you looked at the calendar lately?
We're getting up into the most wonderful time of the year.
That's right. For all you man-children out there who never grew up and have an excuse to dress in costume and eat candy, Halloween is coming. So we're going to try and get some horror movie episodes out here for the month of Halloween. And if you've never watched the show before, what we usually do is go through my DVD collection, try to find something I haven't seen in a long time, or maybe just not familiar with, or have watched a lot and want to introduce to other people. This really strikes at the core of the idea of, like, I own things that I've never seen. This is like a gateway horror movie of my wife's childhood that we purchased, and if I've watched it since we bought it, I have no memory of that.
Okay,
so
this is perfect.
I'm really flying in blind here. 1986 Witchboard is the pick that I made.
Maybe 600. Golden era.
Golden
really,
era of horror. Yeah, I mean, we're talking 2 years post Nightmare. You know, we're well into sequel territory for some of those big franchises.
Yeah.
So, basic plot, as I understand it from the back of the DVD. Girl gets into Ouija Board, starts talking to a friendly 10-year-old boy ghost, and then, of course, classic, more powerful demons try to come through and take over
It can
or
never
possess.
just be Casper.
What? That's the thing. It's like, oh, so a 10-year-old dead kid, that was fine. You were cool with that, right? Like, I was just, like, instantly from the back of the box, I was like, wait, what? I was really getting into talking to this 10-year-old dead kid.
But then this guy that used to be an accountant came through, and he was super boring. It was like, let's get these guys out of here.
Yeah.
Is this Rucker Hauer? Who is this on the back here?
That's a good question. I looked at the rest of the cast for this, because, like, Tawny Kitaen stars. As far as I'm concerned, one of those hotties from the 80s who, like, is really just famous for being hot.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with her name than I am with her face or her work.
Yeah, well, really just that Whitesnake video, I feel like, is
Right?
what I know
well,
her from.
Bachelor Party. She's in Bachelor Party.
Yeah.
She plays Tom Hanks' fiance in Bachelor Party. And then she's in this. And to me, she's also, I recognize her from a single episode of early Seinfeld, like season 3 Seinfeld, before it even got good. You know what I mean?
I just watched that one the other day.
Yeah. But I was going to do more cast shout-outs beyond Tawny Kitaen. Literally did not recognize a name on the back here. So I was like, well, if I recognize their face, maybe we'll make it to character corner on those ones. But it's probably going to be male lead 1 and male lead 2 and creepy guy with the knife here on the back. Rutger Hauer, not Rutger Hauer here on the back.
I don't know who Rutger Hauer is. I just feel like that's what he would look like.
It's
pretty
very
close.
era appropriate. I mean, we're getting up to Blade Runner sequels coming out. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Rutger Hauer's in that.
Oh yeah, so he does look like Rutger Hauer.
He does, absolutely.
I did know who Rutger Hauer was.
You were right.
Great actor.
Anything else then? I guess not. You don't know anything
No,
about
I
this
know
movie,
nothing.
neither do I.
Yeah, no, let's go watch some Witchboard.
Yeah, Witchboard. All right, we're back. We watched Witchboard. You know what I like about this movie? It starts the way every good horror movie should, with a nice existential debate about the existence of God.
Yeah, it was nice. And they got upset about it.
Yeah, it got heated. You'd have thought it was Twitter. It was so heated out there.
I want to talk about this. First of all, they blew it. Though they had a perfect opportunity for a Witchboard joke, like, "Hey, hand me the board." Witchboard.
Witchboard?
I don't know.
The Ouija board. And they're definitely not shy about calling it Ouija throughout the movie. They just
Yeah.
must not have been able to use it in the marketing. Milton Bradley put a lockdown on that shit.
There are no witches. They never say the word witch
or
Witchboard, so whatever. A little misleading.
Cool. They dump a lot on us kind of right here at the beginning in this party scene. There's a lot going on here.
And Brandon, what a guy to have at a party, right?
Ooh, man. Okay, so we got Tawny Kitaen plays Linda Brewster, and make no mistake, they get their Linda Blair joke in there. Don't worry, their character's named Linda. There's possible possession. They know their game. Okay, so don't worry. Then she's having a party. Her boyfriend is Jim, and her ex, who she also goes to law school with. Is that
I think
right?
so. I mean, they say he's her law school friend. Maybe he's just in law. Although they do have
No,
classes
because they keep
together.
saying because he keeps saying she stopped showing up in class.
Yep.
So and they're all having a party, but like I said, it starts out pretty tense right at the get-go.
Yeah.
Like, you're having because we all know nothing goes with booze and partying like talking religion and politics, you know? So they kind of get into it, and then they go out and, like, Jim's buddies show up. And, you know, so he kind of goes and talks to them and then talks to Linda a little bit, and they kind of calm it down. But he's hitting the whiskey pretty hard already.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when they go back in, and Brandon is in full, like, Ouija explanation mode, which, again, this dude, he knows a lot about Ouija boards, first of all.
He knows so many specific details about the other side. It's like...
Right. And, okay, here's the thing, because here's the other part of this triangle that you find out. They I don't know, they bury the lead on this a little bit, I don't know why. Brandon and Jim grew up together. They were like friends up until like 2 years before the events of this movie. Now, this must have been a pretty eventful 2 years for Brandon because Jim seems totally thrown off by his like knowledge of the occult, and he's all like making fun of him and taking shots. But like, so does that mean that Brandon learned all this shit in 2 years? Because he knows all about the Ouija, he knows about the name, that it's Ouija, not Ouija, and why. You know, he knows about like the different signals and how there's like different spirits attached to different boards. And, he's got all this really specific knowledge, and he says he's been in contact with this 10-year-old boy ghost David.
Which is like, how does this happen? Like, what do you imagine? And first of all, he brings the Ouija board to the party, like, which means he's sitting home, he has this elaborate case, and he's like, you know what?
This isn't just a regular Ouija board, it's not just the board, he's got like a big case for it, a big fancy looking case. Even though it comes out, it's just a board. It's very thin. It's not like ornate or anything. It doesn't look like you know how Jumanji in the movie Jumanji looks all like kind of old and fancy and looks like it was carved. This Ouija board looks just like the one you buy at Toys R Us for $10. Only it came out of a fancier box.
Like
and to be fair, they're whatever they call it, the thing. They say its name. I don't remember. That thing is very fancy. It's like a big wood one.
Huge,
it's not. It's all big and stuff. But the board itself, very plain.
But I just like to think that he's leaving the house and he's about to walk out and he sees that sitting there. He's like, you know what? I think this will make the party a little bit better. Let's bring the old Ouija board out. Which is that Ouija shit. Why don't they just say Ouija? Why can't they say Ouija?
It's
anyway,
Ouija. He explains it.
Yeah, he says why, but it's annoying.
and I think that might be a bullshit term. Like, you know what I mean? That seems like it's yes in two different languages.
Like,
we
what
and
does
ja.
that
What does that
mean?
mean? It's yes. Oh, great! What a great name for your fucking your ghost contact.
Like, this doesn't shine any light on like.
But he gives them like a historical lesson about it and shit too, and then he like wants to use it at the party. He's gonna do like a party trick with it, and it's, you know, he wants to get Linda in on it, and of course Jim's sitting there drinking whiskey from the bottle, needling him like a prick. But it's weird, like, this is a strange moment in the movie because I'm with Jim. I'm like, this dude sucks. He's bringing out his Ouija shit at this party. He's corny as fuck. He's the only one not drinking or having a good time, so he's like all stoic and straight-faced and being a prick to everybody. But the movie posits like Jim's the big asshole for not getting into the Ouija shtick, and this guy who is clearly using it to reconnect with the ex that you already can tell he's got a thing for. In fact, the first scene of the movie, when they're talking about God, she's sitting next to Brandon on the couch. I didn't know. I thought they were together.
And then pulls him off Jim and like brings her over, like, oh, let's do this together, baby.
Yeah, and then they're
Come
getting the Ouija boards all close. Oh, we can't use the table. You're supposed to sit on their legs, so it has to be close enough that the board bridges the gap and stuff. And they're all cuddled up on the couch.
The best way to do it is just hop on my lap.
Exactly.
And I'll go around you. We'll do this ghost style, baby.
That would have been awesome. Unchained Melody just starts playing. So Tawny gets up and starts playing the Ouija board alone, which she doesn't know is bad. We find out later in one of Brandon's many expository speeches about Ouija lore that you're not supposed to play alone. She starts playing alone. She gets a message on her answering machine from the doctor saying she's going to get the results of a test. Instead of calling them back, it's like too late. They're like, call us back by 12:30 and it's too late.
Yeah.
So she gets on the Ouija board and she asks David. She repeats the little hand motion. She thinks she's talking to David. She says, David, and he tells her that the test is positive. She's like, kind of already thinks she knows, and he confirms it for her and stuff.
Do you feel like the amount of time they spend swooshing around on the Ouija board is excessive, even for a movie around? I feel like there's a lot of like...
They do it a lot. Well, they do it in between asking questions,
yeah,
too.
they're always like
They're
swooshing.
always swooshing it around, like, while, like, in the midst of waiting for answers.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. Yeah, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it. So one of the things we learn in the first interaction when Brandon and Linda are playing with the Ouija board the things we learned from David is that in the afterlife you get to choose your parents.
Yeah.
So when she's asking David about the pregnancy test, she's like, David, would you want to? And I was like, what the fuck is happening here? Is she about to ask a ghost that she's only met one time to now be her baby?
Yeah,
and
that was so weird. And it never really comes back. I mean, yeah, she's
well,
she's
first
not.
of all, David shuts her down.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
No, you're not
He
gonna
just
be
instantly
my
goes
mom.
to no. And it's because he doesn't like Jim. But I was just like, how bananas you would be like, hey, ghost, I had one interaction with you. First of all, like, you haven't really taken enough time to process this interacting with ghost things. You're way too quickly on board with it. Like, I think you need to think about it a bit more.
This is like a first date conversation.
Right,
And she's bringing it up.
And then to be like, my go-to is like, well, since I just found out the reincarnation is a thing, want to come in? Want to be my kid?
Let's go. Let's shoot you right out here in front of everybody. Fuck, and then they also make a point to say that, like, he's connected this board because it was made on the day he died or something.
Yeah,
I was like, well, how the fuck does anybody know that?
Told him
How the
that.
fuck does he know? Did you get, like, a newsletter when you die? Like, oh, here's the Ouija board you're connected with, made on the day you died. Here's the number. It's like,
Beetlejuice.
what?
It's kind of like the Beetlejuice rules.
Yeah, they're in the waiting room.
You become a ghost and you see the Ouija board sitting there on the counter. You know?
Poor David, man. He gets connected to this fucking asshole.
Oh,
Brandon.
yeah, this guy would suck to be connected to. He's like connected to the like bullshit version of every like preppy like a frat villain in like a bad 80s movie.
Like a John Hughes movie or
right,
something.
Right.
Yeah.
We never see this guy. Like they talk about having class with Linda, but we never see it. But at college, you know he's that guy. We just don't see that part of it. He's always making fun of Jim's dad for being poor and drunk and whatnot. So we have our first death. Jim's working the construction site with his friend Floyd. A bunch of sheetrock falls and crushes Floyd and smashes him dead. Before he dies, they're talking about how Jim's missing his hammer. They keep calling it a hammer.
It's the dumbest. Have you ever seen this tool?
I've seen this tool. It's like a camping tool. It's a hatchet with a flat end that you can hammer with. Also, it's a kind of multi-purpose thing that you would use more like in the woods. You'd never use this thing on a construction site.
All right.
You would use a hammer, and then you use some kind of precision cutting tool when you're cutting wood.
Yeah.
They're building a house. They're not building a log cabin. They're not chopping trees for lumber.
Yeah.
This is like a house they're building. And like it's this plot point through the whole movie that Jim's hatchet is missing, and the sheetrock that fell on Floyd, the ropes it was murder because the ropes were cut by this hatchet. Where's the missing hatchet?
Were you ever scared by any of anything that happened in this movie? There was one jump scare I thought that was good.
Well, there's jump scares aplenty when Jim the Sidler is in town. This dude he's like a cat in a fucking horror film. He is ever just appearing behind people and spooking them.
Yeah.
He does it at least 4 or 5 times.
Conservatively, 75% of the jump scares are Jim startling somebody else in this movie.
Just coming up behind them, basically.
And then being like, oh, shit. Yeah,
she gets really mad a couple times.
I think that's why they use, and that's her. I think that's when she's at her best. TK is when she shows that rage there, which we now know years later that
she has it inside of her.
She's tapping into something real. So, but when she yells at him when he startles, I was like, wow, that's really good.
She tells Jim she's pregnant. He's like, "You been to the doctor?" She said, "I had a test."
David gave me a
But that's the thing, she never like specifies. She's just like, I got tested. But she doesn't tell him that she never got the actual results, and she's just assuming based on the fact that a ghost told her. She says she loves him. He Han Solos her.
Yeah.
But not in a cute way.
No. And she goes even I thought the movie was going to take a turn to
she goes almost like Basic Instinct.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen
like
here.
Fatal Attraction-y. Yeah. Like, she's like, it's okay, you will love me.
I'll make you love me or some shit like that.
I agree. I was like, ooh, is the possession kicking in or is the possession kicking in? Brandon shows up to warn Jim about Linda using the board alone. Again, he's getting into all this specific detail, which makes you think he's been down this road before, right? He got too deep, right? Like, he thought he had control of it, and something happened to him because he starts telling all the symptoms. He's like, because when we were talking about her getting mad, she starts swearing a lot, and he makes note of it. That's a symptom. And she's not doing anything else. She's not going to class or anything. She just wants to stay around the house all day and play the board. And he gives it a name. It's called Progressive Entrapment.
I love it.
And it's like you got the stage she's in then, and then it's going to start to do the thing we talked about with like the knife and ketchup and like scare her and try to break her down, and then eventually get her mind open enough to where it can possess her. And they make a point here too that I like. We're not talking about demons. They never do anything with the afterlife, because that's kind of feeds back into the thing at the beginning.
Yeah.
Brandon, the guy with the Ouija board, is an atheist.
Yeah. I like that.
He doesn't believe.
I like that.
This is all spirits, ghosts. So we're not talking about if it's something that's trying to inhabit her. It's just another different evil ghost. And they make that point. I thought it was an interesting thing to kind of veer away from the devil thing, take the exorcist element out of it.
Yeah. And it's just essentially like people that are evil in real life die and are still evil trying to fuck with us. I guess there's not enough people.
Continue being evil.
Yeah, you can't fuck with the spirits on the other side. You got to fuck with us too, I guess.
I think it's more satisfying or something.
Yeah, maybe. I think that would be right, because if you're on the other side and you could make those barrels fall or some shit, that'd be cool, I guess, yeah.
So even though Jim's still playing skeptic a little bit here, Brandon does convince him to bring over a medium. And the medium is awesome.
Yes.
The fucking best. And I was going to save her for Character Corner, but I realized she's really the only person in the movie that I would ever do Character Corner about. So we can just talk about her right now. First of all, her name's like Sarah Ann, but what's her stage name that she gives herself? It's like Seraphim or something like. She gives herself
great play on Sarah, yeah.
Right. But she's got a great look. She's all 80s out, tons of like she got the pink hair with like the tight sides and like, long on top, and the little tiny John Lennon glasses, and all the like accoutrements, the lace, the bracelets, the denim. She's got it all.
Everything
like,
from the 80s is on her.
She is like the perfect 80s character. And it's the actress's name is Kathleen Wilhoit.
Okay.
Now, I first became familiar with her in a movie called Roadhouse.
Yep. Which I
Pat
remember
Swayze
from.
classic. She plays a waitress. She ends up singing with the band later in the movie. She's great. She gets a peek at Pat
she's
Swayze's
great in that
butt.
too. Yeah, she's great in that too.
Butt in that. She's also in a underrated classic that will definitely be a later DVD bunker on down the road called Drowning Mona. Danny DeVito and Bette Midler. Go ahead and go out and watch that one, because you're going to want to get caught up before we do that. It won't be long. It won't be in October, but it's definitely on my mind.
It's a good one, yeah.
On my mind grapes. The medium, Kathleen Wilhoit, they sit down to do a seance. She channels David. David admits that he says he loves Linda. He admits he doesn't like Jim, and that he was mad at Jim.
Yeah, he's mad at Jim. Why does everyone calls Jim like shitty? He seems like a pretty good guy.
Right,
he's
always
a sociopath.
Well, everybody's always talking about how closed off he is and how he's not emotional and he can't love. Obviously, he can't say I love you to her.
Yeah.
And they're fucking living together. Would you move in with somebody without saying I love you first?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know their story.
It seems, I don't know.
You're right. I never thought of it like that. Like they're living together. And it sees like she said I love you a few times, and he's just kind of like said that I know thing over and over. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, but David agrees to go willingly. He's like apologetic. He agrees to go willingly, but there is kind of like a big dramatic like the light. There's like a big burst of wind, and like the candle goes out, and everybody's kind of spooked for a second. But then everything kind of seems okay.
Yeah.
And she kind of, the medium's fine, and she kind of plays it off. She's real bubbly. Her cult character is great. Like, I love her. I was really bummed because, like, it's cool. Brandon takes her home after the seance, and just as she's getting out of the car, she's like, hey, do you know anything about this word? I had to write it down. Malfeitor.
Yeah.
Hey, Malfeitor? It sounds Portuguese.
Of course, Brandon knows everything.
Brandon knows everything, so, it's Portuguese. He drops her off. She's going to go in and research this, but she gets killed. Like immediately as soon as she starts looking into it, remember she goes out the window. She gets hatcheted and she falls out the window onto a sundial.
That's right.
And I thought it was a great, because there's a great little, as she's walking into her apartment, they linger on the sundial, and I knew that they were foreshadowing, and then I was like, foreshadowing with a sundial? Oh, come on! It's too much, Witchboard. A little, that's great. Good stuff.
Yeah, that was some good foreshadowing.
But I was really bummed out that we lost her. I was hoping one or two more scenes. I know what it's about when you introduce those type of characters. Body count, I know. But I was really hoping one or two more scenes with her, because she was really great. So she gets her own little personal character corner here. Kathleen Wilhoit.
Great work.
So Brandon comes back to the house to talk to Jim again. He tells him about the medium dying. It's like, I have to find out what's going on. This is crazy. Linda's gonna get hurt. We're all gonna get hurt. So he's gonna go off and continue the investigation. And Jim is supposed to stay and watch Linda. He immediately does a terrible job.
Yeah,
She gets thrown around the room and gets a concussion and taken to the hospital. At the hospital, we find out she's not pregnant.
Yep.
And when he finds that out, that's the impetus for Jim to go join Brandon. He's goes and finds we got to do this together. That's getting too crazy.
Yep. We got to team up.
We got to team up.
All our old whatever falling out. They don't really. Do they ever go over there falling out? Really, just kind of.
It's all about Linda.
Yeah, it's all because of her.
It's all because of Linda, and it's not.
Yeah,
you don't get the impression he stole her. It's they broke up. Brandon and Linda broke up, and then separately she got together with Jim. But she probably wouldn't even have known Jim if she didn't date Brandon first. They met that way, so it's kind of one of those things. You can say all you want that. But somewhere down the line, it's still you're still gonna carry that grudge, I guess, a little bit.
And let's go back to the fact that Jim's never wearing a fucking shirt.
It's
I mean,
true.
he's walking around in front of them with those fucking pecs out too.
That's true. Oh, I just gotta hammer something with my hatchet here for a little while.
Some people like to use a regular hammer, but not me, because sometimes you just need to fucking chop something out there too. That's what you get when you hang with Jim.
Now, this is where I think the actual core of the movie lies.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is about the relationship between Jim and Brandon.
Yep.
They go out, they're discovering the story behind David's actual death, what happened to him. They're investigating, they're staying in hotel rooms together, they're having long talks. And that's when I realized that's what this movie's all been about. It's really about the relationship between those two and rebuilding that. I was just kind of oh wow, this movie's really got.
I like that.
Yeah, I was there's much more going on between Brandon and Jim than there is between Linda and Jim. In the whole movie. Most of that is just kind of pushed to the side. You don't see much of their relationship at all, except him reacting to her not acting normal. It's that's their whole thing in the whole movie.
Yeah, you're right. They only really have that one little second of levity right after the party when they get it on. But I love the Brandon Jim scene. That's maybe my favorite.
Yeah,
when they're
that's what I'm saying. They go on their little adventure and they discover they're out in the graveyard together. They go
to the library.
Jim jump scares him a couple times.
Yeah. A couple more Jim jump scares. But I did love the thing that we missed from. Now we have the internet, but I love a good microfiche in a horror movie to get the background story. So we got some good microfiche stuff with them too.
I love that Brandon and Jim get another Ouija board, and it's they just go into what literally looks like a bait shop in this town where they're investigating the death of David. It's just supposed to be this small town. They go in, they come out with what is an equally elaborate yet completely different Ouija board. It's a different color, the little thing is a different style, but it is still equally nice. So it's in this world where you could go to any store and get a Ouija board, but they are all individualized.
Yeah, because whenever somebody dies, they have to make a Ouija board to memorialize that person. Yeah, I love that, and we would definitely have a conversation if you came out of a gas station with an ornate Ouija board. Did you walk in with that? Did you just get that in there?
It doesn't seem
I bought it.
I bought it.
What, from the guy behind the counter? No, it's just on the shelf next to the pork rinds. All right.
They use their Ouija board to contact David, which I love that he makes a big point that certain spirits are tied to Ouija boards, but they just buys the new Ouija board and lays out David, are you there? Hey buddy, are you with me?
It's like someone knocking on your door and being like, hey, is your phone to call David, please? I don't want to talk to you. Please, I have no one on the other side. No, we want David.
There's all these whiny ghosts you get in the way. David, no.
I was murdered. I know who my killer is. I don't care. Give me David. Hurry up.
But they get a hold of David, and they find out that David does admit he's the one who popped the tire, but he says he's never talked to Linda. Ooh. So she's never been talking to David at all. And at that moment, they're attacked by Malfeitor. Uh-huh. Linda gets herself out of the hospital. She digs the Ouija board out of the trash. She gets her ass in the shower.
What else did you do?
You got to get, there was nudity in the contract, I'm sure, and it's 1986, so they had to get it in there.
What do you think? What do you think it was going on? I'm gonna go ahead and just just rinse off before I do this Ouija in here.
Right.
You know what I mean? You gotta get clean. Just like
cleanse
Brandon said at the
my-
beginning, you gotta have a cleansed soul or whatever. Let's take a quick shower. Not wash my hair. I'm not gonna wash my hair. Just rinse off.
As she's preparing, and we see that she comes out of the shower. She gets scared out of the shower. She finds the Ouija board, and then scream lights go out, and then it cuts to Jim, and he's finally finishing the investigation. He tracks down what's the name I keep saying? Malfeitor. Carlos Malfeitor, we find out his name was. Turns out he killed 9 people with a hatchet, and then the police gunned him down where?
In front of the apartment that they live in.
Oh, in his own home.
Oh, my God.
Which is now turned into their apartment building. Because you had just commented, you're like, what is this place they're living in? It's like this big Tudor mansion.
Yeah.
Split into a couple apartments. It's a really nice place. I would totally live there. Even if
Yeah,
somebody
it was
murdered
nice.
9 people with a hatchet.
Yeah, who cares? And also, Brandon tells us that Malfeitor is Portuguese for evil one. So what? All the this is this
It's
guy's
his whole
last name.
line,
Like everyone is
you
evil.
know what? Come on, you know the Witchboard sequels delve into that.
Yeah.
You know they do.
Yeah.
So Jim rushes home with this information. He gets there, the place is trashed. Now I thought it was going to be like a big she was gone. He was going to track her to another location where there was going to be her on a laid out human sacrifice style. I was ready to get into the Witchboard element of this.
Yeah.
She comes out basically just dressed in a suit, so you're supposed to think she's got Malfeitor in her because we've seen him in a black suit. So now she's wearing a man's black suit and a hat.
Which I swear to God is the same outfit
I'm
she wore
telling
during the
you,
funeral.
you're gonna put it up here.
I will.
We didn't put him up. I think that in the funeral scene she has a wider brimmed hat. A funeral hat. This was more she's like a gangster style thing she's got going on at the end here. But either way, she jumps out, she attacks him with an axe, she takes him down, they're fighting, they're wrestling. She's got a crazy voice on because she's got Malfeitor in her. But how does he defeat her? He finally says, I love you.
Yeah.
It doesn't really defeat her, but it kind of breaks the spell long enough for him to throw her off.
Yeah. She comes out of it I love you too. Yeah. And then
So he knows he can keep fighting. It's not a lost cause. You get a sweet little tussle, and Jim gets knocked out the window.
this is a great
How
shot, but
does it's a great omen shot. He falls out there. How does he stop her? He
shoots the Ouija board.
That's right.
That's the portal.
He's gonna shoot himself. She's trying to talk him into that, and he shoots the Ouija board and we get a sweet optical effect CGI spinning.
It's 3D too.
it
Flies at the
spins
screen.
up at the screen, and he shoots a couple holes in it. That's right, and that kind of breaks the spell on her. But it also blows him out the window, and that's where we get that sweet shot, and it's like that omen shot where the camera falls with him, but it cuts away right before he hits. Cut to the inside of the church. Oh, there's people crying. Oh my gosh, this is the worst wedding fake out ever.
Yeah.
You can see the big white bows on the end of the pew and shit. I was like, yeah, we get it. You didn't see him hit, and now you get. So yeah, they got married. Big surprise. We do get a little cliffhanger though, sequel bait. I thought this was the greatest non-scary kind of trying to be scary moment. They're it's the old lady who owns the house and one of the other tenants cleaning up, and they see the Ouija board and it's got some holes blown in it, and she's all like, geez, I wonder if it'd even be any good anymore. And she throws it in the trash, and as it's zooming in on the word yes, the little marker comes up with the circle over it. It's they should have just had Jim pop up. That would have been a way better jump scare there. Just be Jim just shows up behind you in your house. Damn it.
Jim was in there. Hey! That would have been way better. Also, what's up with this lady? Does it still work? She says. It's a fucking piece of cardboard.
The only thing to get into is goodbye versus goodbye. I'll let you go first. I'll defer.
I gotta say, this movie is way more fun to talk about than it was to watch. A lot of things that we brought up during this part, I already forgot about from the walk down here to the bunker. So, it's got good stuff, but it is so derivative of The Exorcist, and it's not really scary. TK brings it. You get some full frontal, which is nice. It's not enough to save it for me. you've got me thinking about the reboot and the prequel that I want is Brandon's like first tangle with this shit, because you're right. How did he know all this? He's lost people in these 2 years.
I like the idea that Brandon died bringing down Mal. You know, maybe he was like of the last victim, and somehow he like led the cops to take him down. You know, his ghost, that was his ghost's job, and that's why they're entangled. Maybe David, because like
like David died.
Because when Brandon's like, you know, Brandon first gets into the board, and then he's like, no, that wasn't David, that was someone else. So like maybe he's been down. Like, you know, we know we already know based on just what he says that he's likely been down this road before. He's been in TK's position. So maybe he tangled with this guy before. David helped him out, and they're kind of intertwined, so he knows that this, you know.
Yeah, or even go further. The whole prequel is just about David like stopping Malfador, and maybe Brandon steps in and just gives him a little assist at the end, and then they stay connected because David dies, Malfador kills him, but they you know, Brandon stops him, and he's like, well, just make sure you make a Ouija board today after I die, and then we can talk afterwards, no big deal. And then they've just been friends for the last couple years.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, either one of those I think are good, but for me, I don't know, Malfador was like, by the time he came in the movie, you're just like, what? This is like an hour and 10 minutes in before we even see this dude.
Well, yeah, and he's not really like established enough.
Yeah.
Like they should have, like, the part with his origin should come way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like they should have found that out way earlier. I actually was surprised. I like this a lot more than I expected to.
Oh, yeah.
I went in with super bottomed out expectations. I think this is a fine, like, for 86, for coming out post Nightmare, this is a fine kind of like 80s movie. I can see why people would want another one of these.
Yeah, I would get into another one.
I think the lore was there for it and stuff. Like, and I gotta give them props to their emotional character development for Jim and Brandon. It didn't leave much for TK to do. She really was there to just play the Linda Blair part. And I mean, maybe they didn't trust her acting skills. I thought she was pretty good when they let her do some stuff. I thought she had some fine moments.
And she wasn't a shitty female character either. I don't feel like she was always just relying on these men. I mean, they were kind of taking charge, but she wasn't like, please help me, I need help. Or, you know, she was doing her thing, but yeah, she was just Linda,
But I agree that, like, it's fairly slow. There's not a ton of, like, scares. There's not a ton of, you know, there's not a lot going on through a lot of it. And there's a little bit of, like, there's some moments where they build some tension. You know, they do okay a couple times, but it's not, they don't sustain it very well. And I'll tell you, I got really excited when the first kill was all that sheetrock falling on that guy. They never live up to that.
No, you get you get the psychic, and then that's it. Really,
I like the psychic falling out of the window on the sundial and stuff. That's cool, but it's really like a throat slash. I don't know. There's only those ones. You know, there's just not much else to it. Like, Brandon just gets a hatch to the face.
Yeah, and it's just like, whatever.
The cop just gets hit in the head. He doesn't even die, I don't think. I think he wakes up to witness the ghost stuff at the end. Like, so, they don't really. So I agree that, but I don't think I could say goodbye to it. I think it earns its spot.
Okay.
I think it's got enough, like, 80s cheese in it. I'll tell you what, punk rock medium is a show I would fucking watch.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if she had gotten her own spin-off, I'd have watched the shit out of that.
Great.
She was
great.
so good. It's definitely not top tier of the 80s horror, but I think it's all right. I think it's okay.
Makes it across, all right.
I think it's all right, and I definitely wouldn't get rid of it. And I definitely think it's better than my wife prepared me for it to be.
See, that's good. She got the undersell.
Yeah, she undersold me on it.
And you undersold me too, so it was better than I thought it would be too. But I was reminded of something that you told me where it was like, this movie makes me excited to watch another Witchboard movie. That's not okay. Like, I should be excited about this Witchboard movie,
true.
not
That's
like,
true. You've
I
got
want to
a
know
point.
more about David. It's like, you should have told me about David.
Yeah.
In this one, you know,
and you
so
had time. You had time to do it.
You had an hour and 40.
Yeah, you had time to do it, and you didn't do it. So wow, split decision.
Rare split decision, too.
Out here, yes.
But we'll call it goodbye then. So
well, if you're a fan of Witchboard, please let us know in the comments below, or hit us up on Twitter at Hurstcules,
At the Drunksman.
hashtag DVD Bunker. Chat about Witchboard. Let us know what you think. If you're a big White Snake fan, you love yourself some Tawny Kitaen. I bet Jack likes Tawny Kitaen.
Oh yeah, who I mean, if you saw that Here I Go Again video, and she's on the front of that Trans Am rolling around, it's like. Whew.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Definitely, like I said, comment, like the video, subscribe to the TUFF channel, check out Fan Friction, check out OSP, BFF. They're doing it's a twofer. There's a great show now they're doing on OSP's doing that compares to like similar movies but different across different eras and stuff. A lot of fun on that one. Thanks to Jeannine for our bunker logo, and also the Halloween bunker logo that we always use on these episodes, the Halloween ones. Austin, who hooks us up with our banners, Ron, who did our music, and everybody who watches at home. Bye.
Bye.